What did it look like back then?
Started with paper books.
I'm Tyler Simmons. Welcome to In the Yard, a Western States podcast. From employees with decades of experience to customers working hard in the field. Join me for conversations with some of our industry's best and brightest to hear their stories of the heavy equipment world. Episodes will drop bi-weekly, so see you in the yard. Well, Phil, glad you're here. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, so real quick here, we'll just do kind of a quick introduction, who you are, what your job role is, and kind of that side of it here for a second.
Okay. Phil Crozier, let's see. I'm the parts consultant, master level technician at the Meridian Truck Shop. I've been doing parts since 1975.
Oh my goodness, you've been in the parts business since 1975.
1975.
Okay, and when you say parts business, what is that truck parts? Like, what is that?
I started originally with a Clark, Michigan dealership called Folger Equipment in Pocatello.
No way.
Yeah.
So like Michigan wheel loaders, Clark, Michigan wheel loaders, and are you kidding me?
Yeah. Nesco bucket teeth. Yeah.
No way.
Columbia crushers, EF March engineering, conveyor belts. Yeah, I started on the dirt side.
I didn't realize that because you're doing truck parts today.
I'm doing truck parts. I've been doing truck parts since 82.
Since 82, you've been doing truck parts. Oh, cool. So you started out in the dirt world, then you got into truck parts in 82.
Yep.
Have you been in truck parts since 82 to today, or?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So let's go back to when you first started in the dirt world, right? Go all the way. So what did it look like so young kid here, I can't deny that at all, right? So every time I've needed to get parts or find parts, it's just been pull up the laptop, type it into sys, and out come my part numbers that I need, right? So my whole world has been here, right, to get parts and everything else.
Yeah.
What did it look like back then?
Started with paper books.
Okay.
Books and catalogs.
Books and catalogs.
Books and catalogs. I transmitted my stock orders via teletype.
Okay, so when you had to do a stock order for your warehouse, it was via teletype.
Via teletype.
Oh my goodness, talk about change in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Inventory was not controlled by a computer. Inventory was controlled by you.
Oh my goodness.
Only what you were selling, running off of what they called a Cardex system.
Okay.
So when inventory started to get low, you tagged the card with a pink or a yellow or a blue.
Okay.
To remind yourself that it's time to look at that stock level and it's time to reorder.
Oh, wow. So you made, like, your whole parts warehouse, everything was managed manually.
The whole field.
And how many different vendors did you have? Because you listed off some brands there I didn't even recognize.
At Folger, we had probably 20
different brands.
vendors.
Oh, wow.
Coring Skytrax,
Okay.
compactors, involved a little bit with Terex before Lakeshore came in. Yeah, it's a completely different industry than it was when I started.
Yeah, that's insane to think about.
It's nuts.
Wow. So you from Pocatello, born and raised, or? Okay, cool. So you're from Eastern Idaho.
Yeah, from Eastern Idaho. Dad was a railroader.
Okay.
Mom was the county treasurer.
Okay.
Went to school in Eugene.
Okay. Eugene, Oregon.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Came back to Pocatello and did some power line construction, and I got laid off. And when I got laid off, I laid around for a month.
Yep.
Decided I better go find a job. Cruising down Highway 30, there was a sign at Folger Equipment looking for a parts man. I knew how to run a dozer.
Okay.
I knew how to run cranes. Walked in, told them my background, and they hired me.
Just like that.
Just like that.
No HR, no filling out an application. You're hired.
You're hired.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, their parts manager left Pocatello, moved to Boise 6 months after I hired on, and I got that job.
Oh, wow. So you were the parts manager pretty quickly after that.
Yep.
So when you started, do you think it would turn into the career that it is today for you?
I was hoping.
Okay.
Yeah, I was hoping.
Okay.
It's funny because the day that I went to work for Folger that night when I got home, the union hall called me on the phone and they had another job.
Okay.
I was number one on the book.
Okay.
I had the first right of refusal or acceptance.
Okay.
I turned it down.
You did.
And it was $13 an hour difference.
Versus what you were making as a parts guy versus going to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I had a new son at home.
Mm-hmm.
the wife and I had talked, and we decided we wanted to have a family life rather than traveling from job to job to job across the Western United States.
Oh, wow. That makes sense. So
Worked out good.
yeah, I was going to ask. So as you've jumped into that and made a career of it, have you been able to balance career and your family life between those two?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to play golf. It's no secret. I umpired baseball for 21 years,
Okay.
all the way from Little League through college,
Oh, wow. All over the board, you were umpiring.
all over the board,
That is pretty cool.
you know.
So still while working parts, doing all the normal
Still
things.
doing that, still raising my kids, still having fun with the family,
Oh, wow.
playing golf. Yeah, it's been a good life.
So it's been able to balance. So that's actually a pretty cool story, right? Because you hear a lot of things today that people want work-life balance and those two things to balance through that. I think we all do. And it's pretty cool to hear that you've been able to kind of achieve that in the world and to be a part of that and still be successful in your career and your home life and your family life for a lot of years still. That's pretty amazing. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I've had some good employers. I've had some not so good employers.
There you go.
However, I got to say that the time I've had here at Western States been pretty nice.
Really?
Yeah.
That was going to be my next question here. It was going to say, okay, so you've had a lot of those and you're here at Western States now and you say it's a pretty good spot to be. Why is that?
I think it's the attitude of the people,
Okay.
you know, all the way from the management all the way down.
Okay.
You know, you want to come to work. You're not forced to come to work. I really believe that. The crew at the truck shop here in Meridian is a really good crew. They've grown immensely in the time that I've been here.
That's crazy. That's so cool. So is this, so as you look at that and you look at all the different places, is Western States your favorite one out of all of it? And you don't have to say that because you're here now, or is there another company or another journey that was your favorite from that experience?
Oh no, I've always wanted to come to work for Western States.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I knew that a future would be here.
Okay. So out of all those other places, you always wanted to come here at a cat
wanted to
dealer.
come
Western.
here.
Wow. Because you knew it was going to have a future.
Yep.
And when you mean the future, what were you looking for when you say that?
Well, you know, when I started here in Boise, when I moved up here to Boise, Western States Truck Shop was still off of Overland at the freeway.
Right. It was downtown, correct?
No, the dirt shop was downtown.
Okay.
The truck shop is basically where Lowe's sits.
Okay. Yep.
And Flying J had their big truck stop there.
Okay.
I drive by there every day on my way out to Cummins, you know, and go. Those guys are always busy, you know. So I just felt that if I ever got an opportunity, I had to make a run at it.
There you go.
And Marcy Cook called me on the phone one day and said, "Hey, we've got an opening. Are you interested?"
And you were at Cummins at the time, correct?
No,
Where were you at?
it's at Peterbilt.
You were at Peterbilt at the time. Okay.
So here I am.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So when you look, think back through your career and stuff like that, and think of a time that was a really interesting experience or something that was a lot of fun or a project you got to work on. Think about that for just a second. Let's talk about that because in all the years of experience you've had, you've seen a ton of stuff, right? And if you think of like this was like a really cool thing or this was a really interesting experience, what was that?
Wow, there have been a few. I remember one time while still in Pocatello, Thanksgiving evening, I got a call from one of our key customers, and they were involved in the sugar beet haul, which is a pretty big deal in Idaho. You know, there's a lot of trucks on the road. And Milo called me on the phone, and he called me, I guess about 9 o'clock at night. And he said, I'm broke down. And I said, well, Milo, how can I help you out? He said, I need an O-ring. I said, Milo, I'm not bringing you an O-ring. I'm bringing you an assortment of O-rings. Which one do you need to make sure I got the right one for you? But then I'm going to bring you an assortment. He was in Aberdeen, Idaho.
Okay.
He had a Michigan loader that had been converted, and it had a 32-yard front loader bucket.
Okay. For sugar beets.
For sugar beets. Yes, they're light. by the time I got out to him, he had 32 trucks waiting to be loaded. They were taking the beets from Aberdeen to the plant at Paul.
Okay.
And Paul was within 4 hours of having to shut down.
Because they didn't have enough sugar beets
They
to
didn't have enough beets.
Oh, wow.
So one little O-ring, at that time a 75-cent O-ring, was affecting 400 jobs.
Oh, wow.
You know, and that's the kind of thing that has always made it kind of fun in the parts industry is every once in a while you get to do something special, but you get the appreciation from the customer.
Yeah.
You know, instead of I didn't get my part on time, that kind of thing, you got to make that extra effort and get a little recognition once in a while.
Yeah. So you know what's, and you bring it up and it's pretty cool, and let's talk a little bit more about it, is that, you know, Western States CAT and even in the trucking industry you've worked in and Folgers, right? We're serving heavy construction companies or even on-highway trucks and stuff like that have a big impact to the world and the society as we have.
Yeah.
Right? And so have you had any other experiences like that? Because I don't think everybody realizes like how much trucking is important or...
Oh, yeah. We had an instance one time along Federal Way where a truck had broken down. We got a late night call to get him up and getting going. It turns out he had nitro in the back of the truck.
Oh, wow.
And you haul nitro in more or less a frozen state.
Yep.
And his refrigeration unit had started to fail. And he was afraid that the nitro was going to be cupped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
So that was a real thing.
Yeah.
Out here at Western States, I've had the opportunity to help rebuild for the CRS people, some water trucks, major rebuilds from the engine through the tank, through the water distribution system, through the pumps, all the way out. That was one of the first projects I got when I hired on out here.
Oh, wow. And what did you just have to, what was your role in that project?
Finding nozzles.
Okay.
Finding different vendors for different valves, transmission rebuilds. At that time, we had a gearman here.
Okay.
You know, so we were rebuilding transmissions and differentials, as well as engines, you know, a full truck shop, which a lot of people didn't realize Western States had.
Yeah.
They thought all we did was engines. And then all at once we were going, no, what do you mean? I got springs, I got shocks, I got brakes, I've got airbags. The only thing I can't do is those items that are specific to that truck manufacturer.
Yep.
But yeah.
You can do it from end to end. So as you're thinking about that, like in that CRS project, was everything easy to find and quick and easy to get?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I had vendors in California. I had vendors in Arizona.
Okay.
I worked a lot with a couple of suppliers here at Boise.
Okay.
But no, it was 4 months.
Nice. So lots of research.
Lots of research.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually got to be kind of fun, right? Like, hey, here's this project. I don't know where I'm going to get all this stuff. We got to figure it out and get it done, and diving into it and working through all that stuff. That's got to be somewhat gratifying when you get it all found.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was pretty cool. I still got the file.
Yeah, I would never, just in case, don't throw the file away. Don't, it's sitting on my desk. You know, when I leave, somebody else is going to have that file because it's got all sorts of notes.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool, Phil. So when you look at like the new generation or the new workforce that's coming in, right? What encouragement do you have for them as parts as a career or the direction they're on, right? Because there's a lot of people coming in, you know what I mean? And the industry's growing, right? Yeah. All world's industry is growing, and not everybody always thinks of it first, right? As far as like researching, fact finding, and all those other things. So how, like, what advice or knowledge would you like to pass on or share with them?
The things that I impress on the people over in my shop is the original manufacturer might tell you that part's obsolete, but that part's out there. We just have to go find it. We look on now the internet. It's amazing the kind of things that you could come up with for a 1976 engine. And we've had a couple of them this year, you know, so I told them, don't give up, keep pursuing. If you don't find it, call me on the phone. I'll help you. We'll find it. As they come into the program, I like to let them know that trucks are going to be here forever.
Yep.
It may be a different dry system, but they're going to be here.
Yeah.
And they're going to need that expert at the other end to help them get that part, to rejuvenate that truck and get it back on the road.
Yep.
It's like plumbing. It's like electrical guys. We got to be here. The trades are going to be here. And the trades are a good career.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, they're always going to be moving material either on highway, or we're going to be moving dirt, or all those things will continue to exist till I guess we move all the material across all of Earth, and there's nothing right?
Yeah.
Like it's always going to continue to be moved, and I think that's an interesting perspective for people that come in. It's a good career. And then the other thing that was really cool that you said there is the perseverance, right? Don't quit.
Yeah.
Right? Because think about how many times is you're looking for these hard parts, and that Michigan wheel loader story you just shared, you could have just said, hey, no, sorry, I don't have an O-ring, and because you don't know which one you need, I can't help you.
Yeah.
That could have been that, and the outcome could have been completely different, right?
Yeah.
But just by you saying, you know what, we're going to solve it, and I'm going to bring all these other O-rings, changes the whole outcome of that story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Horizontal snow.
Yeah.
It was not a good drive.
Yeah.
We got there.
Yeah.
We got there.
Yeah, and I think too the really cool thing is that that you've done and that you've shared with us already today is just get after it and go figure it out and solve the problem, right? And it doesn't take a bunch of systems or processes to do that. That's just you taking ownership and accountability to do it.
Yeah. We get phone calls that sometimes we have mystery parts on. We don't know really what they're asking for.
Yep.
Like the gal that calls looking for 20 bolts and 20 nuts. And from there, you have to figure out where are you on this unit?
Yep.
And it turns out that after deduction, it's 20 wheel nuts and 20 wheel studs.
And it just starts, I need 20 nuts and bolts to start.
20 nuts and 20 bolts. Okay, let's see. What uses 10? What uses 20? And that's how we finally determined what her husband was asking for, because she didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
And he was at the truck stop. This was back in the 80s. He was at the truck stop before cell phones came out.
Yep.
So he was calling her on a payphone.
Yep.
Here we are.
Oh man, talk about completely changes in the way in communication and getting our work done.
Yeah.
That's phenomenally different. That's pretty cool. So let's go back. So after Folgers, you were working there at Michigan with Michigan and Clark. What was the next step after that? Cummins. Okay. So Cummins in Eastern Idaho or Cummins over here? Oh, so you moved from Pocatello over here.
Yeah.
In the 80s, somewhere around in there.
Yep.
Okay, cool. What brought you to the Boise Valley?
Folgers.
Folgers did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I came up here as their parts manager.
Okay.
So after Folgers got, unfortunately, crossways with a financial institution, they had to declare bankruptcy. And the parts manager at Cummins called me on the phone. And I went from there to Peterbilt. And my association with Peterbilt got me heavily involved with the Caterpillar engine.
Yep.
Heavily involved with Western States. And eventually I ended up out here.
Oh wow! So you've had just a handful of spots you've been, right? But all in that kind of that same vein.
It's all been in the same thing,
Yep.
And it's how we manage to work with all of the vendors,
Yep.
We have our TEPS dealers here that we work a lot of truck parts with.
Mm-hmm.
They buy engine parts from us. We buy suspension parts from them.
Yep. It's a good share, right?
It's a good share.
Yep. That's pretty cool. So as you've kind of worked through your career, did people just call you and say, hey, we got an opening for you here, and are you interested in? Is that kind of how that always worked?
Yeah. When Cummins got bought out and became a Cummins Rocky Mountain store from Cummins Intermountain, some of us that had been there for a while didn't hang on.
Okay.
For various reasons. And I actually was out playing golf at Ridgecrest the day after my last day. And my wife calls me on the phone.
Okay.
Liz knows better to call me at the golf course.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, but she called me on the phone, and I called her as I was turning 9.
So you must have had a cell phone, right? Cell phone. Okay. So, okay. I'm thinking of the timeline in my head here.
90s.
90s. Okay. Okay. Early. Okay.
Yeah. And I called her as I made the turn from the clubhouse, and she said, you need to get home. And I said, oh? And she goes, yeah. You've had 9 phone calls of guys looking to see if you want to come to work.
Oh, wow.
I had been off of Cummins for less than a day.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what did you do to build your own brand and reputation to do that? To be like, because that's pretty impressive.
I just worked with my vendors. I worked with my vendors. I worked with my customers. I tried to be thorough.
Okay.
Sometimes more thorough than I could have been.
Okay.
You know, because some of the stuff takes a lot of time.
Yep.
If I told somebody I was going to call them back, I called them back.
Do what you say you're going to do. And
Yeah. If I told them the freight would be here, if the truck doesn't break down, I made sure that my order got placed.
yep.
I want my parts here. I want this guy to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So by getting the customer parts or by getting parts, how does that play into the overall scope of what a customer has going on? I mean, do they just need parts because they want parts or?
I like the guys that like to do the maintenance,
Yep.
you know, because that makes my job easier. But there are times that you have guys that maybe they're new into the industry and they haven't really thought about the monthly kind of maintenance that they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kind of guys that I like to work with because all at once I can say, well, you know, Jeff, you needed to look at those brakes about every month. Yeah, and I wouldn't have had to sell you brakes and drums
Yep.
and S-cams, and the job would have been a few hundred instead of a couple of thousand.
Yep.
You know, I'd like to talk to them about bait that's on the engine, the high-pressure fuel systems that are developed now. You've got to have good maintenance. You've got to have clean oil because all of those injectors are pressure-fed.
Yep.
If you don't have clean oil, you're gonna foul up a fuel pump. You're gonna drop an injector. You're gonna create major damage. Then all at once, you're not down for just a couple of days. You're down for a couple of weeks while things are getting rebuilt through your system.
Oh, that's cool.
That's significant to the independent truck driver.
Yeah.
Those 2 weeks, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. No, that's so what's pretty cool is that you're not just providing with parts, you're providing them with some consulting,
We're trying. Yeah.
right? And trying to help them be successful as they move forward, right? And that's pretty cool. That's a lot of passion and care for the customer on the other end of the phone or standing in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like doing what I do, you
Yeah.
know, and most of the time they're receptive. You know, every once in a while they'll go, really?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do we really need to do that? And would they take all the lubricity out of diesel fuel? Yeah, you know, you got to do something to keep going.
Yep.
Diesel fuel went from 15 parts per million for sulfur to add lubricity
Yep.
down to less than 3 parts per million.
Yep.
In order to get those high pressure engines running, you've got to have clean fuel, clean filters, and I always like to talk about additive to the fuel,
Yep.
but that's another story.
But that's cool. That's just what's interesting is just the perspective you provide, right? Of the years of being in the business and the years of helping customers and helping people be successful is like, it's to you, it's not just, hey, I'm going to go find your parts, but let's make sure things keep running.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you don't have to buy more parts.
yeah, yeah. But, you know, when you do, come see me.
Of course, right? If you do need the part, just call me. Don't call anybody else, right? So as you look through your career, has things always been easy for you, or have there been ups and downs and challenges in your career?
Oh, no, there's challenges. You know, there's a challenge every day. We like to think that everything's going to be mundane and easy, but you always have to sit there and go, wait, you know, we've got an availability problem here. I can't get that to you as an assembly. I can get that to you as a kit and show you the process of maybe how to put it back together, or maybe bring your rig to us and we'll put it back together for you.
Yep.
But so it's not an assembly. It's something that we can put together and get you back on the road.
Yep. No, and that's pretty cool. So as you look at those ups and downs and those different challenges, what's kept you motivated or going as you've worked through your career or jobs or those types of things?
I guess knowing that if I do it right and I get it done right, that customer's going back to work. He's going back out on his job site. He's going back out hauling dirt or running frozen product or whatever, but he's going back to work because my team did the job right.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's important too because at the end of the day we're helping our customers win one way or another.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're out there trying to achieve a goal. You know what I mean? I think that's a little bit in our industry, right? People aren't just buying stuff from us because they want to. You know what I mean? It's not like Amazon. It's not like, hey, I'm going into Target to get this or this, right?
Right.
They're buying something from us because they're trying to achieve a goal or objective or whatever their job is, right? They're either hauling something across country or they're moving sugar beets like we talked earlier, right? And they've got a goal and objective. So it's a pretty powerful story of where you've found some success in your own personal pride and helping the customers win down that.
Yeah, there's times when you have to buy something over the internet because that's the only avenue you have. But I would rather the customer feel confident in coming to Western States to know that he can get his product here and he's taken care of well, rather than I'm going to buy it from this guy in Kentucky and he's going to ship it over here for $300 less than you can sell it to me for. I want to earn that customer.
That business and that trust, right? To trust you, to willing to pay $300 more for that part.
Yeah.
Right. So do you have any stories where customers have bought the cheaper $300 part and it didn't quite work out as planned?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always aftermarket engine parts.
Yeah.
And those aftermarket engine parts can break down.
Yep.
Quickly.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it's happened to a couple of clients, and they've had to come back in and say, well, Phil, I guess I should have bought that OEM because I only got 100,000 miles out of that repair.
Yeah.
And the average with us is much more significant. Instead of 100,000 miles, we're usually 400, 500,000 miles before we would have to look at that same component again.
Oh, wow. Significant difference in life of components and the value to the customer. It's, Phil, we know as Western States Cat, and listen, we're not the cheapest game in town.
Oh, no.
By no means.
Unfortunately, it's an industry that is expensive.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that's, and I think the higher price, because it's the reality, right? And then the level of customer service and care that you're taking with the customer, that somewhat customer service is a lost art today in our society. Because you look at customer service and what you provide there, how have you learned to have the level of customer service that you have now, or what experiences have you had to say, you know what, because what you're describing is amazing.
Well, there's times earlier in the career where I didn't perform so well, and I admit it, hey, I'm not perfect. I've made my fair share of mistakes, but we learn from the mistakes.
Yep.
We get a hold of the customer and make sure that he or she really realizes that I'm sorry that went that way. Yeah.
Ownership and accountability, and then learning from that experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feel a little empathy. This driver is sitting in our driver's lounge because he's broke down.
Yeah.
And he knows that he's got a load waiting for him 100 miles down the road.
Yep.
If he can't get there within his time frame, he loses that load, and that load could be worth $10,000, $15,000. Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows? It could create a relationship with him and that shipper that he has a dedicated load for a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of men.
Could have a huge impact, like long-term potentially.
Yeah.
That
comes into these upset.
Yeah.
Let him know that you're trying. Look at him and be honest about it. Say, hey, we're going to do everything we can for you to get you going.
Yep. So one thing that's been kind of interesting in the industry as a whole, whether it's heavy equipment or trucking or something like that, is there's a lot there's a lot of pride in the Caterpillar brand, right? And the cat logo. Where do you think that comes from, and why do you think that exists?
I guess that's, I guess originally I would have thought it was just all marketing.
Okay.
You know, having been on this side of the street now with a Caterpillar dealer, I really think it's not just the marketing, it's the product that stands up to the test of time.
Okay.
It's the people that come to work for the Caterpillar dealerships that have some pride in their work. They want to do the job right. They're provided with the correct tools to make those repairs correctly. As a Caterpillar dealer, we're not afraid to share with our customer, this is the way we think you should make that repair and get going again. If it's something that they can do on their own, yeah. If we know that it's a very complicated system and it's a technician that's been a technician for 30 years doing Caterpillar engines, we would probably suggest that they'd let us make that fix for them.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So as you, one of the other things that kind of I thought of there as you were talking through some of the Caterpillar pride and what that is, the people side of it, right? You've seen a lot of different cultures in your career and different work life cultures and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So what has been, as you think about that, you know, what's been your favorite culture to work in and why?
Ooh, favorite culture to work in.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's got to be here.
Okay.
I honestly think it has.
You don't have to say that because we're at Western States Cat, right? Like, but
No.
I love that you say that in general.
You know, I've had some challenges as parts managers at different firms.
Okay.
I've had some challenges as a buyer at different firms. But the willingness of the people here at Western States to come in and say, Phil, I think we could have done this better this way, rather than coming in and saying, Phil, you messed up. You should have done it this way. The willingness of people to come in and help, you know.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So where do you think that culture comes from at Western States? The willingness to help and support each other?
It's I don't know. Is it inbred? I don't know. Yeah. I just see it. You know, there's not a lot of backbiting.
Yep.
There's not a lot of how do I say this and not tear it up. A lot of cultures have a lot of commission-driven people.
Okay.
You know, the way they make their living is by commission sales. But you don't see the commission sales staff here at Western States taking another guy's sell.
Yep.
Whereas in some other instances, I've seen that.
Okay, so it's very collaborative, supportive of each other, respectful.
Respectful.
We're very respectful of each other.
Yep.
Is what I kind of heard in that, right? So everybody's respectful of each other, supportive, and willing to help each other be successful,
Yeah.
right? Is that what you see here?
That's what I see.
Okay, I'm just trying to summarize a little bit here.
That's a good summarization. That's what I see.
That's cool. And so what's interesting is I'm assuming you're kind of at the tail end of your career, but I'm not limiting you to that by no means, right? Assuming you're towards that tail end of the career,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool that I think you get to be here and experience some of the best culture as you finish that off.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a pretty cool thing, right?
It
Because
is.
you see a lot of people with their career, they kind of leave frustrated or, you know, they're ending their career not in the best spot they possibly could be. And you're in a spot where you're wrapping it up.
I'm going out on a high note.
Yeah, going out a high note. That's pretty amazing. Dude, I'm so happy for you, Phil. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. This has been a good finish.
Good. That's pretty, and the one that you drove by and you're like, you know what, one day I want to work there.
Yeah.
And here you are.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
That's pretty cool, Phil. So as you look at, we've got a lot of people that we're going to need in the business in the next so many years, right? Because we're going to keep moving material. We're going to keep, growing. Caterpillar is going to continue to grow. I mean, Western States Cat, we want to get after it, right? And so as you look at that, what words of encouragement or advice would you have to somebody coming into the business?
If you're looking for a career and you're a face-forward kind of person, willing to talk to people over the counter, talk to people face-to-face, coming in as a parts guy to Western States, I think would only be a benefit.
There you go. Why?
Because they allow you to train. We have certain key levels we want to get people to. So we have a training path, we have training curriculum, we have your supervisors that are there with you, that are willing to help you get to that point. They look over your shoulder to make sure that you're on the right path, but they're not interrupting you to get you to the right path. Truck parts are going to be here forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great career. It really is a good career.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, Phil. Well, cool, Phil. Well, thank you for taking the time with me today.
Thank you.
And jumping on and sharing. I'm sure there's probably a million more stories there we could unpack.
Yeah, we could be a long time.
We could be a long time.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share or any other story you want to share with us before we wrap up?
No, I think we're pretty good.
All right.
You know, it's been fun sharing and reminiscing and getting the gray matter going backwards a little bit. Recall some of those, and it was a good one.
Yeah, phenomenal career, Phil. And I appreciate it. I've gotten to know you over the past couple of years, and always a smile, always excited to have you here. And always, every time I needed help, you helped me as well.
There we go.
So thank you so much, Phil, for that, and appreciate it, bud.
Thanks for working with me.
Heck yeah.